Have you ever listened to a Taylor Swift song and felt like she was literally reading your diary?
Like the songs she's written are completely about you and she knows and wrote it just for you?
If you have, this video is for you. Welcome to Tay Therapy with Hits Differently. I'm Molly, that's Ryan, and she's kind of been going through it lately, and Taylor's music is helping her get through it.
Always has and always will. Ever since I started listening to Taylor, her music has been the soundtrack to my life, and sometimes it hits a little bit harder than I would like, but it's also very therapeutic. And I feel like from my own experiences and after seeing so many comments from you guys, stuff that you're going through and how her music has helped you, how some of it has been triggering because it hits a little too close to home, I figured it was time to talk about it.
Yes, we usually are keeping you up to date on all things Taylor, so this video is a little different. It's more about her music and how it affects our lives. And we can't wait to hear what you guys think of this. So definitely let us know in the comments if you have had these similar experiences with Taylor's songs. If so, which ones? We can't wait to hear what you guys think. If you aren't subscribed to our channel already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can hear all about Ryan's breakup.
Spoiler, jump the gun.
So, Ryan, would you like to just rewind the clock back to, I don't know, May of 2023 when You're Losing Me came out?
When You're Losing Me first came out, it's funny because you actually remembered this and I didn't because clearly I blacked it out. But I guess when it first came out, I couldn't really listen to it because it was just a gut punch, honestly. And I still think it's one of her like deepest songs when it comes to like a breakup or an impending breakup, because it's a song that's not even about the breakup having happened yet. It's like in the works. And man, it hits so hard.
It hits so hard. When that song came out, for Taylor's fans, it was finally revealing that this relationship had ended, that she had been in for a long time. This spring, when Taylor announced the Tortured Poets Department, we started talking a lot about the stages of grief. And it's interesting because the song You're Losing Me actually takes you through like many different stages of grief. And she put it on her acceptance playlist back in the spring, which is interesting. It's kind of a breakup song, but you're not broken up yet. So it's interesting that she felt that that was acceptance. I feel like for you, the reason it was hard to listen to the song is because it is really like littered with red flags all throughout the song, and hearing Taylor's red flags that she saw in her relationship were making you think of the red flags in your own relationship.
Yes, the beauty of the denial phase, which is the first stage of grief, is, it is often littered with red flags where you see them, and I realized that I quickly became someone who was a master at dodging them and was like, that's not a red flag, that's just a note. But then they start stacking up, and then, You're Losing Me, it's like you have a song that's basically saying, like, why are we avoiding these red flags? And, this song came out May of 2023, and I was dodging those red flags for like probably
another year
from then, up until then, probably for like a minute too. Mm-hmm. So like maybe close to like 2 years, a master of dodging.
So were there certain lyrics? I mean, honestly, let's be real, the whole song is probably relatable, but what lyrics like really hit home at first?
Well, the crazy part about my journey with this song and why we're starting out Tay Therapy with it is because it has been there from the beginning. And when I first heard it, I related to a few lyrics. And at this point, it got to the point where literally I was like, this song is my life. Every single verse is me. And I was like, okay, girl, like the math is mathing and what are we doing? Yeah, the denial phase again, it's just like stuff's coming at you and you just don't want to believe it. You're like, no, like how this can't be happening. Like I'm in love with this person, and the denial is deep. And so the song coincidentally starts out with Taylor saying, like, you say I don't understand, and I say I know you don't. We thought a cure would come through in time. Now I fear it won't.
Brutal.
Remember looking at this room, we loved it because of the light. Now I just sit in the dark and wonder if it's time. And man, that cuts so deep. Your head just becomes consumed with this impending breakup. Once that thought enters your head, it's really hard to get it out. And the next line I feel like I relate to the most in that beginning is, do I throw out everything we built or keep it?
I'm getting tired even for a phoenix, always rising from the ashes, mending all her gashes. You may just have dealt the final blow. When I heard that line, I thought of you because, as Ryan just showed the camera, she has a phoenix tattoo that she had before this song came out.
Due to another, another relationship, which we can get into that later. But ironically, I got it for that one and didn't know I would need it again for another one.
And that Taylor also feels like she's a phoenix rising from the ashes. That's how you felt. Yeah. And you're like, I'm just tired. I'm tired of having to keep giving my all to this relationship and then picking up the pieces and moving on. It's really freaking hard.
And it's your classic, do I throw out everything we built? It's like your mind just plays tricks on you. And for so long, I just kept getting reminded, the happy memories would just pop up. And it's like the time you don't want it or need it because it just really messes with your head. And so you're like, we built so much and we lived together and, sometimes people are married and it's even further, you have kids together and we did not. And it's like, what was it all for? We can't just call it quits.
And when you start to think of those happy memories, it makes you want to fight to be back in that place again. But So when those happy moments start to be few and far between and you're more in the sad moments, the line, how long can we be a sad song till we're too far gone to bring back to life? I gave you all my best me's. I mean, that's the bridge. Okay, the bridge is a masterpiece.
We jumped ahead. Yeah, the bridge is.
But again, it made me think of you when I heard this song because it's like, how long can these sad moments be the main part of the relationship when the happy ones become too few and far between? It's like...
And I literally started counting. This was so dragged out for so long. And I had friends being like, keep notes of the days that are good and the days that are bad. And even early on, I was like, I don't know, there's not a lot of consistency and stability. But again, I'm in love and we do have so much fun, and just completely ignoring the big picture. And so as it got closer to the end, it was like, wow, the days are getting further and further apart from the happy moments, and the fights are getting closer and closer together. And you are just left with what you've become almost. It's like you get to that point and now the happy memories are almost irrelevant and they feel like those are two different people. And it's hard to detach from them because at one point you were that person, but you're like, well, now that's not us anymore. And I'm mourning these two other people that I don't even know who they are.
I gave you all my best me's, my endless empathy, and all I did was bleed as I tried to be the bravest soldier.
Fighting in only your army.
You're the best thing at this party, Ryan.
If that bridge doesn't wreck you, even if you're not going through it, it's or just really hype you up. That bridge it's a mix of damn it, and also just kind of hyping you up to be like, what am I doing? What's going on?
I also have really liked the perspective of this song that there are so many Taylor breakup songs where I feel like maybe it wasn't her decision or just these bad things happen and she's trying to deal with them and you're losing me. It's clearly she is trying to come to terms with this decision that you're losing me. I've tried really, really hard, but I can't do this anymore because you haven't changed. And so now you're losing me and I have to be at peace with that.
Yeah. And if anyone knows, obviously the breakup ended up being kind of mutual because again, it got to a really bad place and we just both were like, what? We don't want this anymore. But for a long time, it felt very a weight that I alone was carrying, which I feel like she talks about so much in the song. You feel like she's the one fighting for it and it's just not being matched with the same energy of care or believing her. Which leads us into the stage of anger for the stages of grief. To be clear, the stages of grief are not linear, and these just happen to be lined up, but I've definitely bounced around and it's very fluid, and they can just hop back and forth. You're like, today I'm good. Today I'm back in the denial phase and I'm listening to Lover, and shout out to that song that was on her denial phase. I'm so sorry for everyone. I feel like when those playlists came out, it was also just like, wow, I never thought of this. And I literally was someone who in the beginning of a relationship was singing Lover and was fantasizing about all these things and like moving in together, and was like, there's issues, but like we can leave the Christmas lights up till January. We can do whatever we want. We're young and in love and it doesn't matter. And so the anger stage, okay, we went from the denial phase where now these thoughts are just haunting me, and now I want to talk about it and I want to bring the other person into it and be like, what are we doing? Can we save this? And inevitably, like, resentment starts to build, and that resentment really lays the base for just overall like destruction, and it lingers, and I felt like it followed me into all of our conversations and our interactions, and the amount of times that I would be like basically saying like, you're losing me. What are you doing? Like, I just don't feel like it was taken seriously. And then you start to judge yourself. Why can't I just set boundaries? And why can't I just say what I want and actually stick by it? And I felt like I was like the girl who cried breakup, because while I didn't blatantly like break up, it was almost like, all right, if this doesn't change. And so you just like doubt yourself. And then it's just like a tornado going on in your head.
Those feelings, I feel like, are encapsulated perfectly in this set of lyrics. How can you say that you love someone you can't tell is dying? I sent you signals and bit my nails down to the quick. My face was gray, but you wouldn't admit that we were sick.
So real. Because for a long time, I feel like he stayed in the denial phase a lot longer than I did. And
you were like bargaining while he was still in denial.
Yeah, it's like I was already, which we talk about in the next phase is like bargaining. But it's like I felt like I got there sooner, or I wanted to talk about it sooner, and was just desperate to save us. And it's like, how can you not realize that I'm being a bitch, or I'm being more bitter because all of our conversations aren't ending, there's no resolution. And it's like, can't you tell I'm like miserable because of this? And
do something.
Say something. And then, she goes on to say, like, I know my pain is such an imposition. Now you're running down the hallway and you know what they all say. You don't know what you got until it's gone. Taylor always talks about just like Intolerated and so many other songs of like, what about if I do leave? Like, then what's it going to be like? And obviously, because we dragged it out for so long, it didn't end up that way. And again, it was more mutual, but it was just like, when you feel like your pain is an imposition and like it's your burden to bear, when you're in a relationship that involves two people, it's not a fun feeling.
Right. It's like you're not feeling like your needs are fully met in the relationship. So that's causing you pain. And then when you try to express that pain and you think that by expressing that pain, your partner will be able to break this pattern or change the behavior, and then it doesn't happen. But you're like, if it's just one thing could be fixed, then it'd be okay.
Just one thing.
And you just like live in that gray area for so long until you realize like, I'm dying.
I would build up conversations and be like, all right, like next time, like we'll talk about this, or later this week we'll talk about this, and then that will change. That'll be the moment of like the light bulb will go off. And I verbally said so many times like, I'm not happy, verbatim. And it's like, I don't know, if my partner said that to me, I'd be very alarmed. I'd be like, oh my God. Okay, well, if I want to stay in this and if I care about you, like, how do I fix that? And when your needs don't get met for so long, again, you start like judging yourself, and you're like, do I even care about what I want and need if I'm consistently having them be ignored and not met? Like, do I have any self-worth?
You do.
And we briefly mentioned like the bargaining stage, which is the next stage, which is where you just are peak desperate. And I love Taylor's voice memo for that playlist, because she's like, just start becoming a little bit more desperate. And it's this spiral and this cycle, and nothing good of it comes, because if you're at the bargaining stage, it's probably too late. Which is why the bargaining stage is so tragic, I feel like, in any, situation. You're losing me unless you're choosing me. Yeah. And of course, the bridge, which we mentioned, which is just... I think it's maybe like my top bridge. Like, you know, and of course, maybe someday when I'm like happy again, like hopefully not, but it's still, regardless, it's just freaking iconic. Playing back about, you know, you just start to really judge yourself. And it's like, even in the lyrics, like Taylor knows while she's having this decision of like, you're losing me, I'm making this decision for myself. She's still kind of self-deprecating. She's saying like, you know, I wouldn't marry me either, pathological people pleaser. And like, you turn the blame on yourself of like, I'm the problem, and
it's me.
All this pain it's all my fault. And, you know, I get it. Like, you're losing me. I wouldn't deal with this either, which is unfortunate, but it's still just very real. And while you're singing the bridge, you're just going through all these feelings of empowerment, self-deprecation, depression, and you're just like, but it's so real.
It's interesting, as we're talking about this now, I'm kind of thinking all the way back to the Midnight's album release, and you were in this relationship at that time. And I feel like with Midnight's, maybe the whole album was a bit of a red flag for you, but You're Losing Me was not part of that original drop. There were songs like Lavender Haze or whatever that might have reflected a little bit like where you were at that time. Mm-hmm. And then, so Midnight's comes out in October, You're Losing Me comes out the following May. And by that point you were like, but I feel like that's maybe why the Midnight's album as a whole has never been like your favorite, because I love it for the production and just the style, just the sound and feel of that album I really relate to, not necessarily the lyrics, but the lyrics were almost like too close to home for you of that whole album. And the fact that you stay up past midnight thinking about your life all the time.
I do. I am a night owl. So yeah, I love that Taylor is the same and constantly talks about other hours. But we didn't know that it was basically almost like a breakup album, or
before we knew about the breakup.
We had no idea. And then when she dumps Lavender Haze and the Denial playlist and other songs, you're just like, oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Here I am being like, she's so in love, it's the Lavender Haze, and I'm like, oh, I get it. Yeah, it's just like Lover. You're like, la la la, I just want to stay in the Lavender Haze because this all sucks and I want to go back to that. TTBD was the exact same way, which again, we will go down the hole of all these other songs, but it was like too real. And when it came out, I was like, come on, girl. Like, are we the same? Did we date the same person? I mean,
we're getting her fresh out the slammers, too.
I don't have anyone to come running to, but, you know, fresh out the slammer.
So, like Ryan said, there are so many other songs that we are going to dive into to help Ryan process her breakup, to help people understand why Taylor's lyrics are so important to her fans, because we truly feel like we have gone through life stages with her, and this is just applicable in so many scenarios. And we know that for our viewers, there have to be songs and moments in your life that you associate to these things that are Taylor related. So
we want to hear about it.
I think one other important thing to note is that when you're going through something like this, like, listen to the song You're Losing Me and think about how a person who can relate to that song might feel.
Yeah, if a person's relating to that, they're not okay, by the way. Check in on them, because woo.
But the important thing to note about this is that when you're feeling that way about your relationship, it's really hard for you to be happy for other people and their relationships. And I think the other interesting thing that happens here is, like, Taylor is living and writing and releasing this music. You're hearing it, relating to it. But because of how long it takes for albums to come out and things like that, we aren't really living in the true timeline Taylor's living in, right? So you're going through all of this.
I'm still stuck in You're Losing Me.
You're stuck in You're Losing Me in May of 2023. You're listening to that all summer crying in the car. Then Taylor starts dating a hot football player and you're like, I can't be happy about this.
Yeah.
Like, how can I be happy for her when I'm still in it?
I had like the epiphany, I feel like, embarrassingly, not even that long ago. Back when she started dating Joe, I was like in a great relationship. I was thriving. I was like, I was loving her love. I was like, girl, same. And then,
my heart,
right? Reputation.
Body and soul.
Whoa. This time it was like, yeah, I cannot relate. And you just get tunnel vision. And it seems so self-centered to not be able to, you know, open up your view to others. But it's like, even if Molly's, it'd be the same for you. If you start dating someone, I'd be like, that's great. I love that for you. Someday I will truly, really love that and be able to show it. So yeah, when they started dating, I recently realized, I was like, I think I was so averse, if you even would, aside from the fact that I want the best for our girl. And, there's always that stage. But like, loving love was hard. And I finally warmed up to it as like, I started handling my shit. But I'm obviously still like knee deep in it. So if I'm still not like, it's because of my own bullshit. So
we need to get Ryan for Travis,
right? Obviously I love them, but that's where like the edge comes from, because we're just not there yet.
Yeah. But if people are ever like, wow, Molly seems like such a Tavis stan, I just
Molly's happily married.
I'm happily married. I grew up in the High School Musical era, man. Like their relationship, I love like rom-coms and all these things, and their relationship has just seemed like so happy and supportive. And I'm so happy that she finally has that. That's what I feel like I have. You will someday have that.
It's so true. It's like literally like, imagine going through a breakup and then just turning on like a rom-com. Why would you do that to yourself? It's like I started watching movies and being happy when I would be a rom-com and they wouldn't get back together, or they would end at the end. I was like, good. Can relate. The Breakup, great movie. Love that they don't end up together at the end. I'm like, great. That's
that's how it should have been.
You just want to like find people that you can relate to, just like Taylor's music, same thing. And so that's just like a fun little backstory. And I remember when it was happening, it's like, I wish I could just tell the people like, I'm going through it, guys. Like, that's the only reason. But now you know.
Yeah, now you know. And we want to hear what you guys think of all of this. Do you like peeling back the layers of our personal lives and how it relates to Taylor? Do you want to join in on Tay Therapy with us? Let us know in the comments.
Because again, we have so much more. I have so much more. Again, Molly's happily married, but I got more stuff. And but we want to see what you guys think. And also just want this to be like a safe space. And I just want to, I want to be vulnerable so you guys can feel comfortable being vulnerable.
We know Ryan's not the only one who is going through this and listened to You're Losing Me and felt shook. So thank you so much for watching this episode of Hits Differently, Tay Therapy version.
Hopefully the first of many.
Yes. Thanks for watching.
Bye.